guys, and welcome to this episode of Ranger Touring. Going to be going through just the updates that I've done to my camping setup and how I've been changing the space. Chris behind me, the guy who drives the Prado.
Wave, Chris.
Gave me a hand with the back of this to make it a bit more user friendly. So I'll start in the back. I guess, well, the obvious change is the rooftop tent. The reason I've gone the rooftop tent as opposed to a swag was for two reasons. So a lot of the camping that we do, we will set up in one location and then we won't stay in that location the next night. So we're always packing up the swag, or we're always packing up the rooftop tent. I do still own a camper trailer, so if we want to do that camping, which we set up a base camp and go out from there, then there's still that option. But for touring, this rooftop tent has sped the process up massively. So much so that I can set up pretty much my chairs and everything within about 5 minutes. The other big reason I've gone away from a swag is because I've only got crossbars on the roof. And when you have a swag on top of the roof and strap it to the crossbars, it'll actually sag in the middle. And when that dust pulls up underneath, what will end up happening is it'll stain your roof. So I've still got stains of red dirt from Cape York on my roof, which was a bit of a pain. So starting in the back, major changes are these. So firstly, I've got a false floor in the back now. That's not held in by anything other than just a bit of friction. It's just a piece of wood that's wedged between the two wheel arches. I've got a slide out tub on one of the King's slides, and that there has my things that I go into most often. So I've got my your kitchen gear in here. I've got my lighting, I've got my vacuum, and I've got my fire building stuff that you normally use for camping. Previously I just had cutlery all hanging all over the place, but I bought this one from Front Runner, which is a full kitchen set. It's super small and it folds down super compact. It just makes everything that little bit easier. I've also gone away from strip lighting and I've gone to some of the power tool lights. The reason I'm going for these is I always take my power tools with me anyway when I go camping, and it just means I'm providing one less light with me when I go camping. The other part as well is that the strip lights draw from your 12-volt setup, so this runs off the battery. There's a few ways to hook this thing up. You can either use the clamps or you can hook it on with a magnet, and I'll show you a bit later, but it punches out a pretty impressive amount of light. I can also tuck a 5-litre water jerry in the back. I'll open this up and I'll keep going here. So I worked the rest of this left-hand side for all my storage space, from stuff I use most often to stuff I don't use that often. So on the left-hand side, I've got my dry foods, got all my snacks and everything like that. So when we're on the road, I can access that, or if we're just pulling up, I can grab that out and grab a snack. The next one are these camp chairs. Now I'll set these up and I'll show you how they look. But we had those big, massive dome chairs. They were incredibly comfortable, but they were monstrous. These are the Explore Planet Earth chair. I've got them from Snowy's Camping, and they fold down to this, and they're also really light and comfortable. Weighs probably 2 to 3 kilos, if that. Duffel bags, that hasn't changed. Our clothes, we only go into them pretty much once a day, so they're tucked down the back there nicely. Got a camping table. Now I used to just have a one-size-fits-all sort of camping table, the ones that just split in the middle, the standard white ones. But I've gone to this because it's the only thing that perfectly fits down that gap, and also it then folds out to quite a large table as well, which I'll show you a bit later. Down the left-hand side, I've got my chainsaw, my tools right at the back. That canvas bag at the back has got all my spares, and then my recovery gear is sitting in a bag on the right-hand side of the slide. This hasn't changed since the last setup. This is still my washing up jerry. Hooked up to a jerry, 20 litres of water, just on a hose nozzle. And then down the bottom, I've still got another 25 litres on the water tank, which is dusty at the moment. So the other part is the tub rack. I bought this off Marketplace from a guy who welds them himself and builds them himself. The key point with the Wild Track is that if you have the roller shutter, the actual roller shutter has some tracks for you to insert stuff into, which is where the actual rack is sitting in. But it's only rated to 25 kilos, and the rooftop tent weighs about 56, and then the tub rack itself weighs about 25. So the fix for that is getting these brace bars, and then they essentially, it just goes into the existing holes. That holds the weight of the rooftop tent, stops this thing from breaking in, which is awesome. So I did a bit of shopping around, and this guy had an excellent product that he was selling on Marketplace. So I was really happy with it. If anyone's after a tub rack in the Brisbane area, he's located on the sunny coast. I can probably get you his contact details. So rooftop tent, so much quicker than the swag was. It normally take me a few minutes to get the swag off the roof. I'll just unwind this, unzip this part, go around to the other side, and do that. Do the Velcro. Up. Fold this over. Velcro that. Extend the ladder. Get that ladder the right height, so just press these in at the same time, slide down. Pull up the zip. Push those up, push this in, we'll lock it out. And that's pretty much it. Now there is a few windows that you can put up as well. The main one, if you're just doing an overnighter, is to extend this one. So I can still set the awning up at the moment with the rooftop tent. If you come to this end here, I just have to tie off the end of the awning to this and just use this pole here, which is conveniently velcroed onto the back to then stop the bar from bending. So it just sits like that along the edge. But it works out pretty well. For this trip we haven't been using the awning that often because we've been getting up pretty early in the morning, and now that we don't have swag, there's no point trying to keep anything dry underneath. So just put it under here overnight and it's fine. We're also still using this area to cook and clean and everything like that. If you have adverse weather or whatever, you can just stand under here and cook off the tailgate still and just extend that up a touch. So the last change I did to the camping setup was the cooktop. I've been using a butane cooker for a few years, and generally speaking they're alright, they're cheap, but you do go through the gas really quickly, and as well as that too, they just don't put up enough heat when you're cooking things that require a lot of heat, and also the wind does blow out the flame or knocks it around a fair bit. So I went for something that was compact, and the best thing that I could find was the Jetboiler kit. Now this was a bit expensive, but I think it's well worth it. Buy once, buy right. So it comes with a pan, lid for the pan, or lid for the main cooking pot, and then it comes with a dual boiler which folds down to this. So you pull the little tabs off and then fold it over, and that's what you're looking at there. So this operates off propane gas. Now these last a lot longer than the butane do, and also you get a lot better heat. Turn it on, one press, straight away you got flame. And being the Jetboiler, it kind of gives off that same sort of sound as the boilers, a lot of heat. And you can boil about 5 litres of water in under 10 minutes, and then you've got the pan as well, and it all folds down obviously into a really compact size. So there's a lot going for it. Overall it's a good kit, very happy with it. There's not too much crazy that changed. Done a few different updates to the car to just make it that bit better for going touring and not staying at the campsite the same day. This setup is great for anyone who just wants to do overnighters and needs a quick and easy setup. I still have all my backseat design as per the other videos that I've put out, walkthrough of the car and the updates to the walkthrough for the car. So none of that's changed, but this has made camping just that little bit better and so much easier to go for long trips.